Hey everyone, welcome to Pop XP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the Pop XP channel. Hey, what is going on YouTube? It's Nile with the Pop XP, and tonight we have an exciting show for you. One I am very excited about. We have some great friends on the channel. The Toots will be in the house, but we're going to be talking about something that has come up. It's hit Kickstarter. It's been in the media. There's been positive reviews on it. There's been negative feedback. We're going to jump into it today. We're going to be talking about this awesome documentary that's coming up about the final days of Stan Lee. And I can't do this interview without two of my brothers, two of the finest gentlemen in this industry. And you know what? Let's give them the proper intro. Hey everyone, welcome to Pop XP. And before the show starts, make sure to click that subscribe button and click the bell to get notifications when we go live and we upload awesome new content. And don't forget, if you can, make sure to share our stream on all your social media outlets. We appreciate it, and thanks for helping us grow the Pop XP channel. The Steven Cimino Says Boom Show is in the house. Gentlemen, Tucci will be joining us shortly. This is a combination. These are the hosts of the Pop XP tonight. With our two shows, we got Tucci coming on. This is a Crowdfunding Comics special event because what we have here, guys, is a Kickstarter for something incredible. You know, Stan Lee, the final chapter. I mean, boom, guys. This is finally happening.
It's if to anybody who's saw the pre-screenings and stuff knows what I'm talking about. It's unbelievable, sad, real, hitting. It's just everything a great documentary should, and it should be told whether people want to see this or not. I'm personally involved with this because I knew about it for many years, knew about what was going on in this, in there's a few scenes in there that I knew I was kind of privy to in front of the camera, even behind, just being at shows and dealing in the background there. It's pretty interesting. But overall, this is a story that needs to be told. And the controversy that my good friend is getting is very interesting to me. But hey, I'm not one of controversy. What about you, Steve? What do you think?
Well, you know, I have actively been avoiding all controversy and anything stressful or drama like for a couple of years because, as you know, I don't have the best temper in the world. So for the last like 8 years, I have been avoiding many things. I don't talk much on stuff. I don't post on stuff. So I was rather surprised when I began to post about, you know, what the show was going to be, that I was attacked personally by people. I haven't had that happen in a long time.
Wow.
And, you know, back in the old days, I would always say that, you know, if you want to attack me, don't do it on the keyboard. Don't do it there. You're more than welcome to come along to Las Vegas, come to Torpedo Comics and say, I want to see Steve. I want to tell him something. I'll come down and see you. But I think I feel very privileged to be a part of this conversation right now because I think, and I don't know whether you guys will agree, but I think this is probably the most important crowdfunding that we've ever had.
I agree.
Everything else has been a project about comics or about an idea, a series, a character. This is essential for the industry to move forward, I think. And I think that certain injustices have to be brought out into the open. And so this crowdfunding event has more gravitas, more weight behind it than anything before. It's not like we're, doing a crowdfunding event for a brand new comic, of, Paperboy or Flyman or the world of, My Living Coccyx. Okay, this is very important.
Mhm.
And the reason we know it's important is because, my word, talk about vitriol and people screaming on both sides without, some people not listening. So this is a magnificent opportunity to clear up some misunderstandings.
Mhm.
And I want to tell you this, what makes this so interesting. First off, teen sensation, Billy Tucci. Always a pleasure. Love you, Billy.
My friends, love you all. Love you all.
What I wanted to say, though, what makes this documentary personal with me and with you guys, too, I know just about everybody involved personally. And I know people from behind the scenes, and I've worked with them, and I've dealt with them and everything. And this is something that's, near and dear to my heart because, like I said, I knew this was coming years ago. And I saw clips and footages years and years ago. And I got to speak for Roy here. Roy said the best thing. Whether people like it or not, it's a story that needs to be told. And and then they can judge, because just like everything on the internet, hey, I'm attacked all the time. I know, Steve, you guys get attacked too. It's just like people, Billy, people overreact and they just stick to these things. They don't want to hear facts. They don't want to hear anything. They just stick to it and just go with it. And unfortunately, when it comes out, people then can make their judgment. And I'll tell you something, it's not, for all the haters out there and stuff, it's not what you think. This is going to be something that it's great. And so, Billy, what do you think about what's going on right now?
I think I'm fascinated by this because, my family and I so honored, to have known Stan and to have had breakfasts with Stan and lunches and morning walks with him. And I've never had dinner with Stan Lee, I don't think, but
You did.
I've had a
didn't
lot
you?
of lunches with him.
First time you met him, you had dinner with him. Remember
Did I
Deb?
have dinner with him?
I think Deb was in line getting food, had no clue, was talking to his wife.
Yeah, that's
Did
how
you
we
guys have
met.
dinner?
No, that was at San Diego Comic-Con. This is how crazy, boys. Now, Steve, I saw you last year at San Diego, how insane it is. In 1994, it's our very first San Diego Comic-Con, right? And it was crazy because she was like the belle of the ball, right? It just exploded. We were the new kids on the block, but everybody wanted blah, blah, blah. We're so busy. So Debbie's like, it was my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, obviously. She's hungry and she wants to go get something to eat. So she goes online, and this is how San Diego was back then. And, you guys would, I don't know, Steve, were you there at
In 94?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately, it was ruined by my mum.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She
you
came
there,
over.
amigo
She came over on
Told him
holiday.
to get back in his basement. He
Johnny
couldn't
boy,
go.
She came over on holiday and said, "Hi, I'm coming on these dates." And I went, "That's San Diego. Can you go away?" But no, I couldn't.
Well,
send her away.
it was a lot, John. I don't know if you were there, if you remember, it was a lot different back then.
Yeah, but I do remember the big cons and all that stuff. Things were a lot different.
San Diego now is halls A through G, and then there's all the big upstairs is all, and now it's spread out to the Marriott, to the Hyatt, to the other hotel on the other side, the Omni, and of course you have Hall H, all the other meeting rooms, all the panel rooms and stuff. It's taken over the entire convention center. Back then, and we thought it was huge, it was only halls A and B. So Debbie's hungry. She's going to go get something to eat, some lunch. And she's waiting online, and she strikes up this conversation with this very beautiful, elegant woman about Dobermans, that she had Dobermans. We had a Doberman at the time. And Debbie comes back with chicken fingers or something. It's like, I just met this wonderful woman, blah, blah, blah. And she said her husband's in comics, so she's going to bring him over too. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, 10 minutes, 20 minutes later, half hour later, here comes this woman. It's Joni Lee with Stan. Like, you have to meet my new friend. She tells Stan of my new friend I met on the line. And Stan Lee comes walking. Now, this is 94. He might have had one person with him. But here comes Stan with his wife walking up to our booth. He's like, you did all this? I'm like, Stan, this is your friend? This woman is your friend? He's like, yeah. Then he's like, yeah. And Debbie had heard of Stan Lee. She'd never seen Stan Lee, but she didn't, she didn't care. She still doesn't know. She knows how to run a comic book company, but she doesn't know anything about comics, But she knows how they're made and how to get paid for and stuff. But it was the funniest thing. So from then on, Stan and I struck up, I don't want to say a friendship, but like when I did the battle books, I flew out there and we spent the whole afternoon. I was trying to explain him the battle books and he was helping us. We got on the cover of a Comic Buyer's Guide and he took me to lunch down there. I was in Westwood or wherever his offices were back then.
Westwood.
Yeah, Wes. I just spent the day with Stan Lee. I'm like, so I just called. Hey, Stan. He's like, Billy Tucci. That's what he'd always say. I remember, like, and near the end, kind of Max would be like, Billy Tucci. It's like, Billy Tucci, how are you? But back, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, I mean, like I said, he was Stan. He was Stan really, I'd say up to 2 years before he passed, even maybe a year before he passed. And one of the great honors of my career, and I can share it if you don't mind, when we start getting into the campaign and talking about the show, is for Veterans Day, 2016. We honored Stan Lee. I got about 20 veterans and active duty Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine veterans and actual active duty people.
Was that in Rhode Island?
Yes, Rhode Island Comic-Con. Remember that, John?
I left the day before.
Oh, he had his panel. Yeah, because his panel was on Veterans Day. So we actually, all of a sudden, the doors open in the back, and Max had set this up. And that's why I want to talk to Mr. Bollinger about about Max, because Max is always great to me. We set it up behind the scenes with him. And all of a sudden the doors open during Stan's panel and out comes marching me. I'm in my uniform and a bunch of these other studs. And they all have something to give to Stan. Yeah. One of them is from a 2-star general who was head of the Army Corps of Engineers who flew a flag in his honor over Edwards Air Force Base and Fort Eustis, which is the Army Air Force Joint Service Command. And he just got awards from the United States Marine Corps, awards from the United States Air Force, from the U.S. Army, the Coast Guard, the Texas National Guard. And it was amazing because all these veterans and active duty guys were comic fans. And he was so moved because it was all to thank him for his service in World War II. Yep. And we did the same for Joe Sinnott at dinner that night. We took Joe Sinnott to dinner. And Stan was so moved emotionally. And Nile, I don't know if you could find that on Facebook. I'll find it later on. We'll share it.
Yeah, we'll share it.
He had tears in his eyes. And he's like, this is the first time anyone's ever thanked me for my service.
Yeah.
It was so emotional. And I think it was 1 year to the day. Did Stan pass away in 2017 or 18?
2018.
2018. So it was 2 years. And 1 day later that Stan passed away. The day you saw him, John.
Yeah. It's once again, and to attach to that, the good reason why I got to see him was because of the guest we have on tonight, because that's when I first met him. And I can tell you right without a fact, like me and him talked, we gravitated to each other. I was a little crazy. He was a little sane. We had the same energy, but he had the same love for Stan as I did for Roy. And we made this magic work to get those guys together. But, I can't understand how anybody would attack this guy's character because, listen, I know why they attack me. I'm kind of a piece of shit sometimes, and I love it. But that's just me. That's just me. That's me. But in all honesty, our guest, the director of this incredible documentary, one of my best friends personally, and I'll do anything for him. Billy, give me some of your guns and I'll kill people for him. You know me. But I want to introduce Nile. We're going to bring in the man, John Bolerjack, director extraordinaire.
Mr. Bolerjack, what's up?
So, Mr. Bolerjack, welcome to the party, Mr. Bolerjack of controversy.
Thanks, man. I'm knee deep in it. I feel you.
So, John, let's have you take the stage. Let's have you start saying your piece. Tell us what has happened, the negativity, and why the negativity. So get everybody up to speed. So anybody out there that doesn't know what's going on with this mega documentary, you've been through the ringer. So let us know what's going down.
Well, first I have to do the thing that I swore I told Rob Liefeld I would do, which is every time I did any sort of interview or appearance or anything, I have to give Rob Liefeld his props. Love him or hate him, he went to the mat.
Oh, I love Rob. I love
Rob.
Man, you hate Rob.
He was one of the
Johnny's
first
got
people.
stories that no one has. Johnny's got these.
Go ahead, John.
He was one of the first people I asked to do the documentary, and he gave me some of the least amount of problems. He immediately said yes, no trepidation. I got him on camera. He was completely unfiltered, did not guard, just was completely honest, was very helpful. So I always tell Rob I got to give him his dues for doing that for me. And then also Steve. I called Steve when Steve stood up for me online, and I called him and I said, Steve, I hate you because you're making me cry in an airport. And I look like a baby because I really appreciated him doing that. It was unexpected. It was such a surprise, but I really appreciated it. So I just wanted to say face to face with Steve, I really appreciate that. That meant a lot. So I just want to get that out of the way.
He's one of the best.
Yeah. So I mean, I launched this Kickstarter very altruistically, thinking like, I guess I forgot what humans are capable of for like a temporary moment of insanity. And I thought, well, people will just wait to make judgments. They'll just like, they'll want to see the movie and then they'll have their reaction. And so the first day I launched it was fine. And the second day at 10 at night, I was on YouTube, and this YouTube guy named Moist Critical did a video, and I was super excited at first because he's got like 16 million followers. Like it could be a big signal boost. And within like 10 seconds, I knew I was fucked. Like I just watched it and I go, it's over. And in like 17 minutes, he ruined like 7 years of work, basically. Like, cause he galvanized people who were angry, but not sure where they should point it. And then that like gave them sort of like a mass to sort of gather. And after that video went live, like I already had everything on private, but I didn't have like message requests turned off or certain things. And it was just like an avalanche of just like people just being like, fuck you, you should kill yourself, I'm going to find you. Like, it was like nothing. And then within an hour, it was just like people were trying to find my email, like all sorts. And it was just like, just pouring down. Right. So like that was a super dark 24 hours. And even at that time, like, people are calling me, like Todd McFarlane called me, and I'm talking to Rob Liefeld, and I'm talking to other people, like, and they're telling me like, dude, you're doing the right thing, don't worry. But even when the people are being supportive, like it's 3 voices and it's like a million voices. Yeah. And that video has like 2.5 million views. I've never looked at the comments. I was like, I'm not going there. But to know that there's a video on the internet by someone that doesn't know you calling you an asshole, like that has millions of views, like that's only going to go more, is like very daunting to sort of like just mentally grasp, And so that was like a really sort of like really bad, like 24, 48 hours. But then eventually like you kind of get your sea legs back and you push through and your life goes on. So I feel actually really lucky to have pushed through the other side, because as that was happening, people like Steve, and Campbell and Liefeld and McFarlane and all these other people who,
now Roy,
yeah, all came out to sort of help. And that actually also then made it easier to see that nothing in my actual life, like my friends, my people, like creators who I know, like none of them actually bailed. It's just like strangers who don't know me, who I'll never see anyway, sort of thing. So that made it easier to sort of push through. And then, go ahead.
No, John, I'm sorry. So that was a setup? Like, was he setting you up so he invites you? Like you?
No, it wasn't. I wasn't even a podcast. He just did a video on the Kickstarter and just shit on it. He didn't even reach out to me.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Like we had like contact. Like they could have contacted me to ask. He just did it. Like he just does like a topic a day. So he just dropped that hand grenade blew me up, and the next day he's on to the next thing, like just
But is
gone.
that, did he follow up? Could he have you on, like, did he follow up it? Like,
No, he's
did he
also,
have you then give your side of the story why you're making this film?
I would 100% go like follow up. I would love to, because he really fucked me in a lot of ways. I would love to like.
Well, you got to do that, bro. You got to do that.
But here's the problem. Imagine if Taylor Swift went on Twitter and said Billy Tucci's a real dickhead. How would you ever get a hold of Taylor Swift? Right? You'd be impossible. Right. That's sort of the thing. He's like very closed off. He doesn't have like a talent management. You can't get a hold of him, right? So that's the issue. If anyone knows him, have him reach out. I'd love to like talk to him. But it was basically he just does it and it's gone. You know, it's a hit and run, and then you can't do anything about it. So
I had a guy call me a fag today. So.
Yeah, but you deserved it, and I called you that like twice.
Hey, and John, if you get on the podcast with that guy, it's going to be battle of the hair bands. I mean,
so I told people I'm the Temu version of him. I'm the Chinese knockoff. I fully acknowledge that. But yeah, so the thing is like, so then I did a bunch of podcasts, because a lot of people have the same questions, which I do a bunch of podcasts and I explain the reasoning. And the thing is even after you explain the reasoning, you see the chats and they're still like, boo, fuck you sort of thing. And it's like, they don't actually want the answer. They just want to be pissed off. And the more you feed them, you're just feeding them, because they're getting bored of getting mad at one thing. So when you give them new information, they get fed, and now they can focus on the new information to get mad about. So those people just don't want to be convinced. So I was actually talking to Nile here, because I don't go on Reddit. I don't look at the comments, but a couple people had sent me this thing, and they were like, dude, this guy's like really obsessed with you. He has like your whole life on this like dossier online, right? And so at first I freak out, because I'm like, oh my God, like he must have some super secret information. And then I go look at it, and it's like, dude, you just screenshotted my Facebook and my Instagram that I publicly put out there for people to see. Like, you're not really but it's interesting, because the way they see things and internalize it and make assumptions, I actually thought it was a lot more interesting to sort of look at that. And then that might sort of maybe help people get a grip. So it's like, it'll just take like 2 minutes, but I just kind of wanted to like review it. So this guy on Reddit has this long thread about me. And, yeah, exactly. And underneath the comments, people are like, oh my God, this is so well thought out and so good. Like, and they're like all really enamored with it. Right. So there's a
great comment here. Hold on. I like this comment here. So Thomas O'Donnell Comics, thank you, sir. You're the villain today, and then when the doc comes out, you'll be the hero tomorrow.
Well, I hope, yes, I would appreciate. I appreciate it. I mean, look, even if the doc comes out, and people still think I'm a villain, at least the doc came out and they made the informed decision. That's actually all I ask. I'm not telling anyone you have to like me. I'm just saying watch it and then to make your determination. That's all I'm asking, is to like see it and then to still think what you want to think is fine, you know. But yes, I hope that is the case.
Well, this is so crazy. I've never seen such craziness and controversy over a campaign before. So, because I've gotten calls from people, do you know who? I'm like, no, I never met the guy, but I can't wait to talk to John.
Well, actually, I did meet you, but you don't remember, because I was with Stan when you were at that thing. I was like I would have been 2 feet away from him. But Stan, you're paying attention to Stan.
I remember that thing. Yeah, we had like ties on and tuxedos. And
yeah, because after you guys I think it was the second. There was like 2 different things. I think it was the second one. Who was that really, really old artist who did Young Allies? Alan Bellman.
Alan Bellman.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the thing I wrote on Comic-Con, the Stanley celebration. That was on Sunday.
Yeah.
And then we all got invited if we had worked on Marvel stuff or whatever. And because
the thing I remember most about that is after it was over and everyone's clearing the stage and the mic's not, I don't remember if the mic's even on or not anymore. Alan Bellman shuffled to the mic after Stan was done talking, and he just yelled, "And we're gonna make America great again." But he the mic wasn't really on, and he was kind of far away from it. No one was paying attention. It was like a surreal sort of like
because it was the Sunday after the 2016 election.
Yeah,
and Alan Bellman was a huge Republican guy. He's a Navy veteran from World War II. He was a major Republican. I remember seeing him at a few shows, and that's what he was like Steranko. Got this guy Trump. I like this guy Trump. I'm telling you. So Trump wins, And then Alan Bellman grabs and goes, and let's make America great
Yeah.
again. And Stan grabs the mic and goes, thank you, President Trump.
So yeah, no, so anyway, so yeah, so the thing is like I just have this quick like thing I'm just going to show her like part of this really big dossier, which is essentially like this is essentially what it is. Like that's the guy putting it together is that. But like, so for instance, he starts with this thing where it's like, this is just a screenshot of, I went to the Middle East Film and Comic-Con, right? And it's just me there. The people in Dubai were super nice. And I brought some things that Stan had signed, like prints and stuff, because they specifically asked me, hey, like Stan never came to Dubai. Like, do you have anything for this like massive store? Now, keep in mind, that's like a Hall of Armor and stuff. Like this millionaire Dubai guy built a comic store because he loves comics. So he asked me to bring some stuff for them. So I brought some of my stuff and I brought some stuff that other people had that were signed by Stan. So then I posted this thing. Again, these are all screenshots this guy took, right? So again, the convention is promoting me, and then they're using these images to show that some stuff that was signed by Stan is coming. So it's like, okay, like I was with Stan for 4 years. Of course, I'm going to have some stuff signed, right? But this is where the whole like doesn't make sense thing, because this next slide that's a super damning proof that I'm just selling Stan Lee stuff is me at, that's my fucking booth. There's a sign by my hand that says Stan Lee, and it's selling like a couple things he signed, but my entire booth is my own fucking art with like just by me. But his proof, his build up to the proof is just a picture of me with nothing of Stan Lee in sight. But to them, they're like, oh my God, like, you know, like, and
That
so
art
that's
looks good, dude.
So that's
That
so that's like the sort of like leap that they make, right? And for instance, this was like, I had this on eBay and it ended, right, for $2,500. Then Ramita died, like announced that he died like 3 hours
I have
later.
one of those books.
Yeah, so I was
$2,500. I have the John Romita Stan Lee book because I was supposed to do something on that.
yeah, so I was complaining that it was in poor taste that people were hitting me up right after Ramita died, because like now they want the book suddenly, and now it's like a good thing because he's dead. But again, in this magical dossier, they're basically saying like, look at him like selling books that are signed by people. Again, it doesn't make sense. And that's like the really frustrating part. But I think the thing that was the most annoying about this whole thing is that I was selling some comic books here, right? And so I miss these books, by the way. I wish I still had them, but I was selling some comic books. And at the bottom, there are 3 comic books that say they're signed by Stan Lee and Dick Ayers. And the guy that took these photos could click the pictures and see each book, right? And here's the thing that's most annoying is those books, right? If you look at the dates of these books that were signed by Stan, 2011.
Yeah.
2000. I was not with Stan until 2015. I bought these books in like 2020 from a comic dealer we all know and love in Vegas, not Torpedo, but the other one. And I bought these books. But the thing is like this guy just slaps together a crudely done dossier, and it's just full of comments underneath of people being like, good job, like this shows, you know, us what he is. And it's like, the thing is, they'll believe some rando on the internet, the screen name G Baller 69 or something, and he's like their authority. And then Rob Liefeld and Todd McFarlane say, I've seen the movie, I've known this guy for 10 years, he's a good guy. And they're like, no, we don't believe that. Like, we just, because you are not making us mad. Like, we can't be mad at that, but we can be mad at this.
And the dynamic is very interesting because, you know, like I said, Roy came out today. He put out this big thing about you too. You got all the biggest names in the industry. Just Todd McFarlane, Roy Thomas, Rob Liefeld. I mean, it doesn't get any bigger than that. And they're all, amongst everybody else, is all giving you props because of what you did. And they're in the know, right? They're behind the scenes. And then yet you have all these fans and all that stuff, fanboys or whatever, just critics or whoever they are, sycophants. They all got their decision because, you know, I'm no stranger to this controversy, but no matter what you put, John, it's the funny thing. It's like you can put up those facts there too, and people are going to have their decision no matter what, and then their people are going to gravitate toward that. And then you got people that just love the salaciousness of it, and they just come and they come and they come and all that stuff, and they'll just keep getting this ball going. And it's the internet is it's a beautiful thing, and it's a very scary thing because it can work both ways. And I mean, I've seen both ways of it. It's made me very successful, but it also made me very controversial and hated because of shit. So I mean,
Yeah,
see
and
it.
I would actually like to address. So this guy in the comments asked if it's true that they stole his blood to sign comics, and he hopes that it was a rumor, right? But see, that's actually a really, I don't know if have you guys heard of that, the blood books?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah.
guys familiar
Yes.
with that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
here's the thing about the blood books. It's really interesting that no one really knows, right? Is first of all, let's be clear. The blood books are in absolute poor taste. The guy that thought of it was like just clearly did not understand how like bad that looks, right? But here's the thing is like Stan knew about the blood books, right? Everyone thinks that he was like asleep and they drained his blood like a vampire in the middle of the night. He went to his doctor's
Thomas
office.
has one.
Yeah, he went to his doctor's office. His doctor drew the blood out. And the weirdo guy that made these basically sold Stan on the idea of, oh, cool, Kiss did it like in the Marvel books, like you should do it too. And Stan, meanwhile, was like, they're gonna pay me for my blood. Like, what idiots! Like he didn't care because he's like, they're gonna withdraw a vial of blood and give me like X amount of money. And it was a business partner that he had. So it was in definitely poor taste by the guy, but it wasn't this dark secret. The only reason that it turned into that is because there was a power struggle for control of Stan. And when that guy that did the blood thing got bounced, the next guy that took over was going through all of Stan's like paperwork and deals, and he found that deal. He leaks the story that Stan was asleep, that he didn't know what was happening, to ruin that deal. And everybody bought it. The media went nuts with it. It was on the news. And that blood book became, I mean, it's still in poor taste. I would never even recommend doing that, nor buying them. But my point being is that one guy used the right tool, and now the entire world thinks that Stan Lee was asleep and some guy came in and sucked a bunch of blood out.
Well, the worst part was that Stan was a hemophiliac at that point, and no one realizes. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right? Well, he was on Coumadin. His blood was pretty thin. That's true.
No, but why don't we, Niall? Let's
talk about the campaign. Let's talk about the journey that got you here, because there's so much meat to the story. Because one of the biggest criticisms, and I know you've seen it, John, is like, well, why did it take this long to do it? You know, but there's so much meat to it. Let's get into it.
Yeah, so I'm going to give you guys the really abridged version, because every podcast I go on, I've gone over it more, so I don't want to like bore everyone. So essentially, yes, the main question is, why didn't you do anything? And my question is, don't think I love doing this for a decade, turning 40 and still be trying to make this happen? Come on, this is awesome. I want to do this forever. But the real answer,
Steve, John, and I just took offense to that. Niall loves that too, because he's 40.
the reason that it took so long is in 2018, when Stan was alive, I thought, okay, cool. Here's my moment. I'm in with Stan. All the people that should not be there are gone. This is my chance to actually do something without any retribution coming my way. So I take the footage, way more than what's in the trailer, and I give it to the police, and I give it to the district attorney of Los Angeles. And now I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's over. This is going to do something. They're going to go after the people. Great. The police don't do anything. And that's not because they're lazy or because they're bad cops. It's because when you make an old man sleep next to a garbage can instead of taking him to the green room because it's too far away and you want to get him back signing again, when you do that, that's not illegal. That's immoral. That makes you a dickhead, but that doesn't make you don't go to jail for that. And that's what's unfortunate. So even when you go with a whole pile of immoral things, you're not breaking the law, because Stan was still going to his office job at POW during the week. Stan was still living regular life outside of that. So police, there's like old people being starved and chained to radiators, or there's this, right? Which are the police going to focus on more in that situation? Which one is going to take more? So the problem is that that's how it was explained to me as to why nothing was going to happen. When it comes to things like missing money and all the other kind of stuff, when that money is missing and it's 2018 and Stan's memory is pretty foggy at that point, how are you going to prove what money was gone? How are you going to prove where it came from? And how are you going to prove that Stan didn't give it away for free because he's such a nice guy? So unfortunately, the problem is the system, especially when it comes to things with child protective services or adult protective services, there's so many loopholes and so much like ambiguity that it's really hard to get something to happen. And I had to learn that the hard way because I thought something was going to happen. So that was 2018. So then Stan is still alive. And I take the hard drive I call the Los Angeles Times and I get on a hold with an editor and I say, hey, dude, I have this whole hard drive, like go win a Pulitzer. I don't care. Like just write about it, please. And put it on your website. And they turned me down because they were writing, the entire media was obsessed, and I'm not going to get it because it's too political, but they were all telling a very same kind of story that was very hot at the time. And they told me they're only writing those stories right now. If I had tips on that, they would have taken it. But because this wasn't the flavor of the month, they didn't take the hard drive. So now I've tried the police and I've tried the media. And so then in 2018, I put it on YouTube. I took clips that everyone's freaking out about now, and I chronicled an entire day of Stan's life and the stuff that was happening to him. And I put it on the internet. And then I went to podcasts. Like, you guys weren't around at the time, but I went to YouTube channels. I reached out to friends and I said, could you signal boost this? Like artists that I knew, people in the fandom that I knew, and they all said no. Some people said, I don't want to get sued. Some of these people could sue me if they, if I post this. And then some people just never got back to me. And it sat there for 2 whole months. It got like 2,000 views, made no impact whatsoever. So then at that point, I'm like, okay, like I've tried like very many things. And so then I decided I'm going to do it myself. Right. So I pull it off YouTube, because if I'm going to do it myself, the last thing I need is to get halfway through and then get undercut by like something on YouTube. So I pull it and I go, I'm going to do this proper. I want this to be a real documentary. I was already working in documentary film. I want this to be done properly. So I start calling, getting interviews, setting up stuff. And what happens? Max Anderson finds out that I'm making a documentary and he sues me. He sues me. I'll never forget my shitty 1-bedroom apartment. I'm in my boxer. Someone knocks at the door. It's a small Asian guy, hands me an envelope. I open it. I'm being sued. And I immediately felt like I did when that video dropped and totally screwed me. My heart sank and I got super scared. And that lawsuit took 5 years. 5 years to get through, to win, which I eventually did win. But during that 5-year period of time, it's really hard to find companies who want to buy your documentary or help you make it when you may lose a lawsuit and they don't have anything.
Right.
So that was already a struggle to get to happen. And then when I did find people to help me that were just friends that was trying to help me get some traction, we would take it to streamers that are like, you guys know their names, they're on all your TVs, they're on all your phones. And they would, a big streamer told me, quote, comic book people are too stupid to watch documentaries. I think they forgot that we're big nerds and we generally like to watch educational things.
Yeah.
But they told us that you guys were too stupid to watch documentaries. Other people said, so what? Old people get ripped off all the time. Some people wanted to push a different kind of agenda at that point. Like there was a million no's. There was 2 yeses. 1 yes came right before COVID and that ruined it. And the second yes came years later from a company that then backed out because they thought that Marvel or Disney might be mad at them and they wanted to stream like Iron Man 7 and they were worried that it would like mess up those deals. And so the thing is, what it really is really annoying when someone says, why didn't you do anything? Because I will explain all this and I guarantee you either in the chats here or just online when someone comments it later, there's still going to be like, prove it. Like you didn't actually do that. I would have done more. If I was on the plane during 9/11, I would have stopped it. Like it's all these backseat drivers who just know they would have done more. And it's like, you could not have done more than
John,
what I tried to do.
I knew, when did we really start getting together? It was like 2019. You told me about so much of this all those years ago about like a lot of that stuff with Stan and stuff. So, I mean, this was something that I can verify that John actually did all that stuff because he told me about it and he's told countless times thereafter about this situation and all that stuff. So, I mean,
the thing is, it's like, I don't expect everyone to believe me because Stan had a lot of shady people around him. And so if I'm there and it's surrounded by shady people, I even get the hesitance, and that the hesitance is fine. I understand, but it's like, wait till the movie comes out and then look at it and then you can decide, then it's fine. Like, then sure. Then you can be like, oh, that guy still, I could have done better. That's fine. Right. So I think that's kind of the thing that's like more annoying. And then, like I said, there are some people that just want to be mad, right? They just want to be like this guy. I'm going to give him his attention. He's going to get real hard here because I'm going to give him his attention in the comments, and that's what he wants. But this guy, for instance, was Wonderworld's comics guy. First of all, I didn't know who he was till like 24 hours ago. Apparently, he's kind of a big deal. But I did not know who he was, right? And right now he's smiling ear to ear because I'm giving him the attention he wants. Now he's going to get to brag about it. But the thing is this guy, he doesn't know me. Like Liefeld says I'm good. McFarlane says I'm good. Campbell says I'm good. Kevin Eastman says I'm good. Every person that you're going to wait in line for to get an autograph from has vouched for me. But that guy forever will continue to bust my balls and never, even when he watches a documentary and he sees that he's wrong, he will never cop to it because he just wants to be pissed. And I think that's actually more interesting than the documentary itself, is the way people get locked onto something and perceive something and never change their mind. And I think it's a much more big metaphor for the world we live in now.
I think, you know, what people, and again, this is one of the things when I did my post, because I was responding to a post of a so-called influencer that was saying, oh, I don't want my vision of what Stan is to be destroyed, and la la la, we don't need any of this. This is going to hurt the, you know, the legend of Stan, la la la. I think out of this group here, I met Max the earliest. We used to sell comics down at a place called Frank & Son's Warehouse, which was in the City of Industry in California. And I remember Max as sort of a nebulous type character that was just always sort of seen around. He never had a booth or anything, but, you know, he was always sort of standing around in the early 2000s. You know, he didn't seem to be doing anything. Now, I don't know whether anyone knows this, but Stan did a signing at the Frank & Son's Warehouse. And then shortly afterward, it didn't seem too long, I heard rumors. They were like, oh, did you hear about Max? I'm like, oh, what's going on? Max now represents Stan. And I was like, this guy that's been hanging around like a Dreyfler? I'm like, well, how could he be representing Stan? So that, to me, is the great mystery. I've only ever heard third and fourth hand stories about how he went up and asked a question and said, do you have any representation? And Stan went, no, I don't have anything like that. But that's how it began. It began in a small little, you know, interior flea show in the City of Industry. And I think the signing was probably 2001, maybe. It was very early. Stan turned up with no one. Right. He had no helpers. He just turned up by himself. Was like, hey, you know, am I going to be, you know, can someone help me? So
that's how it was, right? Like when Debbie met, I don't know if John, if you were earlier, when my wife met Joni, he was walking around San Diego Comic-Con in '94.
Yes. Pre the cameos, his career was at a dip. Like you could wait him out and talk to him for an hour. Like at the lines. Like, people don't remember that. They don't understand that. Like he was not something people were looking for. And also remember, signatures on comics then were not that big a deal either. That was not a thing. Like CGC signature series wasn't a thing. No one was flipping books that were signed. Like the culture was not right between no cameos and no signature. That was not Stan's time right there for, you know, for his second win.
What was fascinating about the situation was, again, this is firsthand knowledge, is that Max went from someone who was nebulous and was like a ghost that floated around to becoming the ultimate power over there at Frank & Son's Warehouse. And the dealers would go before him, kneel, and go, oh, King Max, is it possible that, you know, I can have, you know, a meeting with Stan? I've got some books I want to get signed. And then slowly but surely it got to a point where there began to be rumors of like storage locations full of books that were signed. And I remember once, and by the way, I got sort of almost blacklisted immediately. I remember saying to some of the dealers, I was like, wow, I said, isn't it a shame that Stan isn't doing anything else? He's not like doing an autobiography. He's not out there. He's just in a little room signing books. And I was surrounded by other dealers, and they were like, oh, no. Don't. We need to keep the gravy train going, Steve. We don't need an idealistic fool like you saying anything like that.
Oh, okay.
He was also probably $40 an autograph at that point, so they definitely wanted you to shut up.
Yes. Yeah. So I was, you know, the fear in their eyes. I mean, dealers I've known for years, they had fear in their eyes. Like, oh, Steve, don't rock the boat now. Don't rock the boat, otherwise everyone's going to be really pissed at you. And I was like, oh, okay, wow. So that's basically how that began. But what I'm surprised at is, lucky enough, we did answer that first point right now because I heard it again and again and again. Well, why didn't he do anything earlier? Point done.
Yeah.
The second point is, and it's very confusing to me,
Mhm.
is, oh, I don't want to know. I don't think we should know. I want to keep my idea. If you have criminals who were working behind the scenes, working in an insidious way, it is someone's duty, if they know, our duty, okay, to bring it to light so that those people cannot carry on in the industry, maybe latch onto someone else, maybe be a guest at someone's show, and someone says, oh, you worked with Stan, and that person comes out and goes, well, let me explain what happened. If you were abusing Stan, you don't have any right to be doing anything ever again in this industry.
Mhm.
So for me personally, this documentary has to shine a massive light on the people who were acting in an evil way. And that's the only way you can say it. They wanted their storage locations filled with signed books. They knew that Stan was going to die at some point, so they sped up the signing as he got older and older, giving him no rest. I know a couple of the people who were around him. I don't know as many as John Cimino and John Bolerjack. I don't know, but I do know some. Some of them I've been friendly with since 1998, and suddenly they're like, "Hey, I'm working with Max." I'm like, "What are you doing for Max?" They're like, "Well, I just turn up and I get all this money." And I'm like, well, "Can you explain?" No, it's okay. If you need to see Stan, I'll put a word in with Max for you. So that's my perspective. And of course, I don't think, I just think it gives people some context as to where Max came from.
Yes.
Some of those little story.
Well, I gotta give full
Billy,
disclosure about Max, because I've seen Max. Now, John, I'm so fascinated. I want to see this film, and I want to get to promoting your Kickstarter
Billy,
show.
by the way, it's totally fine that you like Max. If you do like Max,
yeah,
I'm not holding it against you. Max, I guarantee you.
Billy, I don't know about any of this shit. I don't know. I
want you to tell this. I want you to tell the story, but I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to guess that Max made Stan very available to you to when you needed to do something or promote something, and Max was very charming to you and very nice to you and brought Stan where you needed him to be, is my guess.
I don't need him anywhere to be, just to say hi to him and stuff. And I know what a lot of other comic creators and pros and stuff like that, like Stan's like, come on in the back. Stan's eating. You want to go in the back and say hello? Like things like that. Mm-hmm. Like I did for my Sergeant Rock book, I did 2 of the covers I saved for my children, and I have all World War II veterans to sign it. Mm-hmm. And this is before we did the thing for Stan for when we got him all the awards and stuff from the veterans and stuff. And I just want him to sign this for my kids, And Max like, absolutely, come on in the back. And I went in the back, and there was Stan having lunch, and I came, he's like, Billy Tucci. He's like, Billy Tucci. And he signed it, and I took a great photo with him. So again, like little things like that, like I'm walking in the morning at MegaCon. Let's go back 15, 20 years ago. I was going to go for a run in the morning, and I see Max and Stan. I'm like, oh my God, hey. And, I'm talking to them, and Max is like, I'm going for a run. And then Stan's like, why would you run when you could walk? Because Stan would walk every morning. Yeah. So Max like, you want to come with us? And I'm like, yeah. So Stan's like, come with us. Like that access.
Sure.
So I'm not judging anything.
No,
and again, I think your film needs to be seen.
Yeah.
And this needs to be funded so people can see this, because you have an amazing amount of footage and a firsthand look. But I just want to say that Max has always been nothing short of wonderful to me.
And I think Billy,
you weirdos out there, they're going to start attacking me because I don't know all the other shit, and I don't care.
I think Billy's opinion and what in his experience is completely valid, right? Like it's not like Max was a barbarian setting houses on fire and killing people all the time. Like Max was nice to Billy. Billy got to have good experience with Stan. There's no reason for his viewpoint to be tarnished because 1, he hasn't seen the documentary. 2, he doesn't have any experience that maybe me or Steve or me or John has. So like for me, when someone says that, I think it's fine. I don't get there and go, no, you have to hate, like this situation, because also, again, people are complex. There's more than one shade to a person. There's more than, I may think that Max had an agenda and wanted Billy to do a cover, and maybe that's true and maybe that's not, but Billy's reaction is perfectly valid, and and maybe he'll watch the movie, and maybe he'll change his mind, maybe he won't.
I'll definitely watch it.
I'm just saying, I think it's important that we all respect the viewpoints of people, you know, that they may have, but also that we are open to change depending on the information that we learn. Like none of us should be locked in. It's possible that Steve might watch this documentary and go, you know, John was a little more of a shithead than I thought he was. And if that is his reaction, then that is his reaction. But I think that people need to like have actual information before, you know, they're ready to go and fight, you know, in the comment section of a thing. You know what I mean? Like that's, I think, important.
But I also think
hang on, Steve.
I think what's also important, and it's something that has to be brought to light, is in those last couple of years, everyone knew what Stan was doing. No one complained. No one whined. Where was that person that had that little dossier on you screaming and crying about, oh, did you realize, did you hear that Stan was signing for, you know, all these hours? They were like this.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, you know, they just didn't care, or they heard something and went, oh, well, it's just Stan, you know, whatever it is. And now, you know, that he's passed and they're feeling guilty, you know, and they're like, oh, well, you know, I was always a fan of Stan. You weren't a fan of Stan, okay? You wanted to get the signed books just as much as anyone else did, okay? So that there is an important factor. These people who are shouting and screaming at you, you're giving them a lot of benefit of the doubt.
I'm trying to not be part of the problem.
I'm a lot harsher than you because I'm the same as Billy. I was in the army. Usually you just destroy people who do that. Okay?
Yeah, I just had to get that out there.
No, of course.
I'm all for seeing this film and I'm supporting you and stuff like that. Like, I think this is a wonderful idea to do this project.
Yeah.
And
see, Billy is my ideal person. He's got an opinion, but he still wants to see it, and he's not screaming like an idiot.
Yeah.
That's the target zone for humanity.
Well,
I'm
John,
like
let's
Apple,
talk.
you know, like Apple is in the chat and put on the great Alamo City Comic Con. One of the best conventions I've ever been to. And you know, some of us have, like I said, I have nothing but positive experiences. I didn't know the other guys that came after or those other guys that were waking up and shaking him and all that crazy shit you hear about afterwards. But anyway, I digress.
Go ahead now.
Well, let's talk. So you got the campaign, you're doing a documentary. You're asking, you know, a lot of people are like, well, he's asking like $300,000, this and that.
Yeah.
But let's talk your credentials because this isn't like your first rodeo in film.
Yeah. So I went to film school in LA, and then I got out and I started working in documentary film, and I worked for a guy named Robert Kenner, who was nominated for an Oscar for Food Inc., that documentary from like, I think it was 2000, I want to say. And I did 2 documentaries with him as an assistant editor, and I worked under a really talented editor. And then after that, I left that company and I went to a different company where when you used to buy DVDs, like you'd watch the special features. And so I worked for a company that did that. So I worked on the John Wick series, Deadpool 2, Godzilla vs. Kong, a bunch of random stuff. And what you have to do when you go on a set is you have those ideas for like the making of. Sometimes like there's something you have ahead of time and you film it, you make it work. But sometimes you get there and you realize that the lead actor is like a real dickhead and he's not going to let you film him. And then all your plans are gone and you have to now go find another thing to film. And you have, you know, the set is only there for a limited amount of time. And so you have to get really good at sort of like finding the story, finding the thing that you want to film. And so I did that for a couple of years. And that's really where I sort of, and as I was doing that job is when I got linked up with Stan. So I already had the skills sort of to see like, and be able to tell that maybe there's a story here and and I'd already worked on other documentaries. So that's how I got linked up with Stan. And then after that, I was just, you know, traveling with him and off to the races. So I had already been working in film. So to your earlier question about the 300,000, the thing I usually say is like, when your, you know, car breaks down and you go to the mechanic and he says you need this and it costs $1,000, you're like, but it's just this little thing. Like I just got to put it in right there. But you don't know, you got to take it apart and do all the whatever. Right. And that's the same thing with film. Like movies cost a lot of money because first of all, Hollywood costs a lot of money and, you know, LA costs a lot of money, but no one understands that to pay an editor is $4,000 a week. It takes a year to edit a documentary. So you're already just right there at like $210,000. Then the assistant is $2,000 a week. Then you got to pay for cameramen when you're filming interviews. And then you got to like, there's the cost just like exponentially builds and we're not done. So we're still got to shoot recreations, which means you have to hire a crew. You have to rent the stage. You have to build a thing, you know, like that's all like.
So you're in a rough footage stage. So like what people are seeing is kind of more rough footage and you kind of really have to go through the final editing process, the recreation process, all that stuff. So when they're thinking, oh, this documentary is basically almost done, it's really not. You're kind of showing clips of the raw footage, but you still have full production to go on. This
Yeah,
thing.
and actually recently, because of this, there was a person I wanted in the documentary, because part of the thing about why didn't you just go tell the police? There's a guy that was early on when I got there. He was kind of in the entourage, but like he'd come in and out, and I didn't really know him that well. And then after like a year, one day he was just gone. And I was like, hey, what happened to that one guy like that was around sometimes? And said, oh, he got caught stealing from Stan. Right. And I always thought like, wow, that's like really weird that he got caught stealing from Stan, and he was kind of drummed out of the industry. And then like 2 or 3 weeks later, another guy that was kind of in the thing, he got caught stealing from Stan, and he was gone. And I thought it was very weird that 2 people who were kind of vocal about things they didn't like were gone for stealing from Stan. I thought it was very weird. Yeah. And I never could really get my finger on it. And I wanted to interview him for the documentary, but I didn't have his info, and I couldn't find him. Well, he contacted me. And he like a week ago, he contacted me and said, I'm that guy, because he heard me telling the story on a podcast. And then we started talking. And while he was talking to me, like, now I'm going to put him in the documentary because I wanted to get him. But as he was talking to me, he's telling me his story. And when he's getting off the phone with me, he starts crying because no one believes him. Like when he said he didn't steal from Stan, and he lost like his business, he lost his place. Wow. And like he got blackballed from conventions wherever Stan was to Steve's power. Oh, yeah. The powers that be could stop, things from happening. And he was crying because he's living in North Carolina, regular job. People think he's lying when he says he was even around Stan, and he never got validation about what happened to him. And so he was really like appreciative that he was going to get to actually say what happened. And it was really like powerful, because you don't know what it's like to know the truth. Well, I mean, I'm kind of dealing with it right now. When you know the truth and everyone's just telling you that you're full of shit, you know what I mean? Like, it's really hard to have to absorb that. At least I have you guys, other people who have seen it know that it's real, but that guy, nobody. That guy's just at home feeling completely, isolated. And he's carried this for a decade, so like stuff like that, for instance, that's more money. I'm going to fly him out. I'm going to hire a crew. I'm going to put him up in a hotel. I'm going to interview him. That's got to go into the edit. So that's another $4,000 a week while we make it work. So if the money magically all came, it's almost all already earmarked for spending. And what's left will be something I forgot about that then will still get spent. Like none of that goes into my pocket, so that's fancy.
That's one of the things that the most viciousness and the most disastrous disinformation out there is that for somehow you're going to be on an island with a Mai Tai, after the thing is done, and you're like, oh, look at those idiots. They gave me all that money. And that story is going on and on and on. And the people who are in that little circle, because, they're not there in a little bubble, they're going around. And so they're saying, well, why is this person going to be making all this money off of Stan's dead body? That is the information that's floating to the top. Mm-hmm. And that's what's causing regular, normal people to lose their mind online and say the most incredible, vicious things.
Yeah. But to your point is, I gave that explanation, right? In 10 minutes from now, there's going to be some guy in the comments going, this motherfucker wants to buy a Ferrari. Like, because I'll say it and it won't be enough. I did actually
Stan's sensitive. It's a sensitive subject for creators, because a lot of people look at Stan and they look at what he did. There's people that fight, there's groups, me and John, we've seen it and whatnot. There's your Kirby diehard guys. You got your Stan diehard guys, this and that. Like, and my argument was like, look, without the both of, like, pick a side. That's great. Yeah. But without the both of them, like, that was magic. They couldn't do it on their own, right?
No, I think
with Stan, it's very personal. Like, comic book fans, right?
Sure,
I mean, we are very, comics shaped us. They were something we were missing in life. Sure. They brought to us. So they see this and they're like, oh, this guy's just trying to do this, trying to do that. And no, we've got like, there's a comment here. Let's see.
Oh, dude, I was literally just going to interrupt you to see that. To answer his question.
So if you knew the truth, why did you not bring the video footage up as evidence during the court trials?
Cool. So 2 things. One, there was never a court trial against Max involving any sort of abuse or charges. Nothing ever came of that. So there was no chance for me to testify. And as I covered earlier, I did give the footage to the district attorney's office and the police, and they didn't do anything with it. So I would have, had I had the opportunity. I have testified in other people's trials and related to Stan. So I have testified in other people's trials for the prosecution, but I would have, if that had come up, 100% I would have. Also, just they might find it interesting that Max Anderson was busted for tax evasion of over $1.5 million. I mean, it was 1.2, and he had to pay like $480 something thousand. I was responsible for that. I'm on record. It was me, 100% me. It took 6 years. It took tens of meetings with every level of government, and for me to be obnoxious to get it up the chain. And it just came out. That was me. But see, that took 6 years with the evidence you're talking about that you were asking. That took 6 years. Right. So I do, and I have done things. Now, to this other person's questions right under is, why don't I, the other thing, and you probably have this question, is why don't I just put it on YouTube? Why don't I just take it as right now and just slap it on YouTube and let everyone watch it? And then then we'll have it, right? It's out. Great. Cool. So your solution to this problem is, I'll take it without having lawyers vet it. I'll edit out unprotected on YouTube so that every person in it that I expose will sue me. I'll have hundreds of thousands of dollars of legal fees so that you can watch it for free on YouTube. And also with not enough context of explanation, where we are, what's happening, who's doing it to him, how old is Stan, all those questions, I'll just throw them out without answering those for you. And the internet and its infinite wisdom will parse out this information judiciously with all the context that they've shown so far and their ability to actually critically think. Like, that's not a real solution to a problem. That just makes you feel good because you get to watch it and get more mad. I understand the instinct, but it's just not a feasible idea. It's not real.
Well,
and
that's in the zeitgeist right now. Whereas people say, well, I don't pay for anything. I stream all my music. I stream, I have this thing. I can stream all my TV series. I can stream 100 million Hollywood movies. Only all you got is a documentary.
No, I actually disagree with that, Steve. I think what it is people are looking at this again. Elder abuse, let's say. An icon in our hobby, like an absolute icon in our hobby. And it's like, in their eyes, it's you're doing this to expose something. To them, it's like, why are you trying to profit off it? Why are you trying to do that? That's definitely
a certain percentage, Nile.
That's where the anger comes from.
Yeah. In the comment section under his thing, there's people joining in. They don't give a damn about Stan. No. They're just joining in, but they're like, well, why didn't you just put it out for free, dude? I get everything for free.
But that's true too. It's true, but that's the tail effect, right?
Right.
Yeah,
right.
So they go on that because that's the virtuous. Nile is correct. And to be clear, I'm over $200,000 spent in this, right? And the thing is again, like, no one makes documentaries to get rich except Michael Moore. All right. And if you notice, Michael Moore hasn't made a documentary in like a decade because he's not even making money doing it. So I'm very flattered that people think so highly of this, that I'm going to be balling it up, after this thing comes out. But very, very realistically, when everything is said and done, 10 years out after it gets distributed somewhere, if I break even, it will be lucky. This is not about making money. I could just sell this part and parcel. I could go to Disney tomorrow and go, would you like this to disappear? And they would just buy it and I would be done. Like, people have advised me of that in the past. Like, that's not what this is about. This is about getting the truth out. And I would, on a side note, I don't know who Phantom Harlock is calling me a coward, but I'm here with my face and name, and you have an icon and a name, Phantom Harlock. All right. So I'm out here facing this bullshit, and you're hiding behind a fake name, trying to bust my balls. I honestly believe, John, I think you're trying to just kind of set the record straight, to show what was going on, what was happening out there. And we can definitely feel your stress of the matter. We can definitely feel like,
now I actually feel really good, because I usually try to stay away from this, but you guys are like, Steve is making me feel real brave with that bald head and that reflection. And
it is, I don't want people taking like, oh, he's just trying to sell something, this and that, or whatnot. But there is passion behind it. And I'm going to go out there, and you don't have to like what I'm going to say. That's fine. But I think what John is doing is legit. And I know what the costs are in the industry. Everyone someone posted that Billy and the Bros were millionaires. Yeah, no, that's not it.
Billy lives on
congratulations, my dude.
Human flesh.
You know, there's you know, Billy says it famously, right? Like, we'll talk comic books. Comic books are a great industry where you can make hundreds of dollars.
You can literally make hundreds of
You
dollars.
literally
John.
make hundreds of dollars.
I'm sold. I'm sold.
Billy, that's great. That's
These
great.
campaigns that make six figures, like, people don't realize the cost involved. There's so much.
That's great,
Yeah.
Billy. That's great.
Well, we all
Because,
got
I mean,
into
John
this. We
Cimino's
love
the only
this
one who's a
genre.
millionaire here right now.
Yes,
Well,
exactly.
think about it. We all got in this because we love this, and that's why passions are so high right now. It's not, it's not even film. This is such a small industry. It's like a giant family. You know that, like, we loved comics before it was cool, right?
Yeah.
We were
Oh,
making
yeah,
comics before it was
definitely.
cool. So this is our thing. So Stan is like a grandfather to many, many people.
Yeah.
And that's why, just like Roy Thomas is, just like Joe Kubert was, just like when everyone was so devastated when Dave Stevens passed away, when you hear these greats leaving us, John Romita, you're like, oh my God, you feel like a part of your childhood is gone.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, John Wayne died, maybe someone like that, but it's akin to that, things like that. But
It's in
even
the realm of
smaller, more
mythic.
personal.
Yeah.
It
It's
is
in the realm of mythic. It isn't almost real anymore.
Yeah.
you
Right,
know?
but here's the
And-
thing, though, too, John, is that we all know them and have met them and call them friends.
Mhm.
These, never meet your heroes, for the most part in comics. Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
John, you gotta.
Here's
you
a
gotta
point.
respond.
Here's a point, and I'm
Yeah.
just going to interrupt for
No.
a second
Sure,
because
sure,
there's a
sure.
comment. And Phantom had actually made some good points and speculation of a creator, which is good because you are crowdfunding, which is
Sure.
going to give you a little more criticism than because
Sure.
you want people to buy into yourself. But with
Sure.
something like this, it's your first campaign, it's your first solo documentary, and I think for Phantom to want you to prove yourself, I think he has to see the meat of the documentary. I don't think
Sure.
anyone could ask you to prove yourself just yet because we need to see the meat of the documentary. We've seen
Sure.
previews, we see that there has
Here's-
to be.
Here's why I push
yeah.
back on that, though, is if I was just out here with no credibility, I just came out of nowhere, no one knows who I am, and I want this money, okay? And I have no name recognition, no one knows me, 100%, 100 million%, right? But
Mhm.
I come out with the commando from Schwarzenegger with the rocket launcher, and I just shoot, boom, McFarlane, boom, Liefeld, boom,
Yeah.
Thomas. And I have literally every person you are waiting in line for hours for to sign your book and tell you that you love them. They are telling you that they have seen the documentary, the rough cut of it. It's good, that I'm a trustworthy person, and that it's important to get funded, right? So that's why I push back on that, and that's why I don't buy that, because even if I can't prove my value, where did my screen go? Sorry, there are 10 bazillion other people. I lost you. Sorry, that are out there promoting me and giving that credibility. So that's the whole point of those people coming to my defense, is for that very issue. See, so a
Because they
comment
saw
like that,
it. They saw
a
it.
comment,
They know.
exactly. They've seen it and they've told you that
Yeah.
there's something there. So that's my pushback. That person, whoever that person is not, you are arguing in good faith, Nile, because you are using your brain and trying to think critically. But you, just like me earlier, trying to be overly patient, that person is not making a good faith argument. They're just sitting on a keyboard, laughing their balls off, trying to say something because they're bored and they don't have a date tonight. And that's what
Yes,
they're doing.
that is
They're not making
precisely
the
what
argument
it
in good
is.
faith.
That is
Then I can also-
precisely what it is.
that's
We
my
don't know who
opinion.
this Phantom Harlock is.
Yeah.
He could be some weird person that's been living in a basement for 19 years, okay, and has never taken off his jockstrap.
And
So
I can
who is that person to judge you?
And
If
I
he
think
doesn't-
Well,
that there are
that-
plenty of legitimate comments that people and questions, and I want to answer them. And so I'm not dismissing all comments by any means, but you can very easily tell after a certain amount of time who is
Yeah.
here to have a real conversation
Yes.
and who's here just because they're bored. And
If
that
you're not
that
showing
guy
your
is just
face,
bored.
though, you said it. If you're not
So-
showing your face and you're anonymous,
Right.
you
right,
have no
right.
say. No say.
wait.
It is, but that's the world of the internet, and
Wait, let me just say
everyone's
one more
gonna be
thing
able
for
to say
John.
what they want to say.
Let me say one more thing for John's benefit. I also know a lot more people in the industry, creators and peers of Roy. There's a lot more names. They haven't come out, but they'll all speak well of the documentary and of John. So there's a lot more than that have come up because they don't do the social media thing. They do their own thing and all that stuff. So I mean, there are more creators out there that vouch for John. So it has to mean something. You see all these creators, and a lot of them I don't know, so most of them I do, but I'm just saying, it has to mean something. You say show your value. When these guys are coming out, taking their time and putting up this stuff, and have told me prior to this, it's got to mean something.
If you got Roy Thomas, and Rob Liefeld agreeing on something, then there's got to be something there, because otherwise,
That's a little oil.
That's a fight Roy will win. Right?
But let's talk though. What I want to know though is like, so you you filmed a lot of stuff, but what triggered that? Did you go into this filming a documentary? Did this all start this way? How did the filming process
initially it was actually a reality show, because in 2015, if you had anything remotely interesting about you, you could get a reality show. Like E was pumping them out like crazy, and like VH1 was trying to do it again. So it was very easy to sell a reality show. And so when I bumped into a friend who mutually who was working for Stan, I thought okay, cool. First, can I meet Stan? Because that would just be cool. And then I was like, this would actually be a really interesting reality show, because you get to see Stan going around the country, interacting with fans. Like, it seemed like a very slam dunk idea. And so a friend of mine was already working on a reality show, so I told him about it. We pitched to Stan. Stan said, great, because he loves being on camera. And so we filmed a couple of pilots, after like a couple shows to put a pilot together. And then it just was kind of like, we actually started realizing like, Stan's just signing a lot of comics a lot of the time. Like, and sometimes he's doing something interesting, but like, we filmed 8 hours of Emerald City Comic Con and filmed like signing. Like, J. Scott Campbell showed up, but like, no one knows who he is. It's not in comics. Like, we realized that the actual world is kind of small, and it's harder to translate that out into the everything. So at that point, we had spent a couple months filming stuff and working on some stuff. And then at that point, I'd actually grown pretty friendly with Stan, and the other people that I was with, they were not nerds, so they didn't care who Stan was. And so, so it kind of just wasn't working. And so then I went to Stan and I said, hey, can I just keep filming? Because I could tell like something will happen, like it's life, like something will inevitably happen that will make this interesting. And so I said, can I stay and film until we figure it out? And then he said, yeah, sure. And we'd already kind of grown fond of each other. And then at that point, you're just spending all day with him. So you're just getting to know him, and, he's getting to know me. And then at some point in time, it stopped being just filming, and he started calling me, to like go to the grocery store or something, like, or pick something up. And of course I like Stan, and I'm like, oh my God, another time to hang out with Stan. Sure. Like, I'll go get the thing. And then it kind of started transitioning into more of like assistant work and driving him to the airport, driving him back to the airport, that kind of stuff. And then that's kind of how it turned into it.
Let's go through a couple questions here. So Comic Journey says, why aren't the big money people backing it?
I think, I guess, what does that mean? If they could clarify, what does big money people mean? Like a studio, or like, what is that?
Maybe this question can kind of tailor on it. So Shart's Law, why have you not pitched documentary to Netflix or Amazon if you're not caring about the money and profits?
Well, first of all, I did pitch this to Amazon and Hulu and Netflix and everybody else you can possibly name. And as I did say earlier, they, like, a lot of them dismiss it for various reasons: fear of not being able to work with Marvel, thinking we're too stupid to watch documentaries. There was a lot of sort of reasons. And then we did sell it once, and COVID happened, and then they backed out because it was a news network, and they get 24-hour free coverage of COVID and Donald Trump for 3 years. Why would you pay for anything? So for instance, so McFarlane's a big money person, right?
Is he though?
Well, that's just for the argument's sake, say McFarlane's the big money person. Okay. I'm friends with Todd. I've known him for a very long time. Him and I go back, and I really appreciate what he's done for me so far. I don't know about you and how comfortable you feel, but I don't think Steve's going to Dolmai and to go, hey, can you give me $300K to fund my passion project, John?
Ain't happening.
Why don't I just ask Billy to draw me 10,000 drawings that I could sell for, XE, and he'll help me out. Why not? Billy's got time on the weekend. Get drawn, Billy. Let's make this movie happen, right? Like, the thing is like, you can't, if that is and I think Steve and Nile, you guys probably all understand, John and Billy too, is that when you're friends with someone in an industry, any industry, whether it be rock and roll or whatever, and you're close to someone who's of status, right? Like Todd or Dolmai, whatever, right? You stay friendly with those people because you don't cross that line and encroach on them for things. If I go to Todd and I say, Todd, can I have $300K to get this movie? it breaks a thing that never gets unbroken again. You only stay with these people when you treat them like people. As soon as they get the sense that you're trying to piggy bank them, or exploit them for your gain in some way, it's like they don't like that. And you have to treat them like people. You can't just, so that's why, if Todd came to me and was like, hey, Bart, I'd like to give you $250,000, I would 100% take that. But it's completely not realistic to ask that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not. If Steve was going to make a documentary next year about me and what a piece of shit I am, Dolmayan's not going to give him $300K. That's what's not going to happen.
Yeah, about your stupid hair.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Steve's stupid hair.
Son of a bitch.
The hell?
Like, his hair is fake. I know it.
I know it's fake. Way too fake. I'm going to wear hair like that in the next show.
Yeah.
But I think what's also important is let's just say big money, but not friendly, just other people.
Yeah.
Now, those people are going to want to have some control if they're going to put some money in there. They're going to have their own bias. They're going to have their own thing. And then they're going to say, you better make me a lot of money because I don't care about this guy, but I'm going to give you money. That's the difference. Yeah.
I've had people the last couple of weeks since this thing started reach out to me with money. I've had big money people be like, hey, I did this, this, and this. I'd love to help you with this thing, and then you kind of start to talk to them and you realize, okay, well, that help comes with they think I'm doing the Kickstarter because I'm desperate and I need the money. They don't understand, no, I'll make this movie. It'll just take longer. And I'm 40. I'd like to not be 50, try to I'd like to just get it and be done with it so that people can see it. So that's what this was about. Right. So they sense that I'll never make it if this doesn't happen. And they come to me with oh, I'll give you $300,000, but it also comes with 80%, ownership, and I get to decide what happens in the edit. And I want to make sure that this stuff, and it's I can't sell that to someone because they might decide, I don't like this character in this movie. He would actually work better as a bad guy, or this thing he said we could use this way. And then suddenly someone who trusted me with their interview is Roy Thomas is now the bad guy and Stan is the good guy. You know what I mean? I've
heard that before, that Roy Thomas is the bad guy. Though.
He's awful. He's so mean.
Oh, he's very subtle. But he conquers the world.
No, from people I never heard of, I've gotten something.
Well, let's take a look at the campaign. Let's
look at the campaign, man. Let's do it.
Let's do it. So let's check out. So let's so you have 21 days left on this campaign. It's live on Kickstarter. You're at about 65,000. Let's watch the trailer.
And that's an extraordinary.
My name is Jonathan Bolerjack. Thank you. For the last 4 years of Stanley's life, I was his assistant, his confidant, but most importantly, his friend. I traveled the world with him, witnessing firsthand the incredible highs of his legendary career, but also the heartbreaking lows. Stan spent his final years enduring mistreatment, manipulation, and betrayal at the hands of a few very bad actors.
Is there any way to get us out of the San Francisco thing? Or do you feel we gotta do it?
Gotta do it.
At the time, I didn't have the power to stop it, but I did have a camera and I filmed everything.
Whoa, watch out! Jeez.
Now I'm asking for your help to finish the film and finally get justice for Stan. This documentary includes firsthand accounts from key witnesses, including comic book legends like Rob Liefeld and Roy Thomas, as well as many others who saw the chaos and unethical acts. This isn't speculation, it's all on camera. Undeniable.
This is old Stan Lee coming at you. No, you're not old.
Irrefutable.
I thought I was finished, but apparently I'm not.
No ambiguity. With your help, we can finish the film, expose the truth, and give Stan the justice he deserves. As a bonus, I'm going to share with you some insights on the film from some of the most well-respected creators in the industry.
I'll be honest, I didn't know what to expect.
When I saw the documentary, I knew some of it, but like most people, I didn't know all of it. And there were pieces of it that blew me away.
It's a lot of emotions, dude. It's a crazy roller coaster.
Seeing Stan in that situation, being taken advantage of, was really hard to watch. Because I just think, I was thinking of my parents and my grandparents.
So I think it's important that people see that even the guy at the top, the most successful comic creator, isn't protected.
This film shows behind the curtain that not a lot of us fans get to see.
This isn't just a fluff piece. trying to attack somebody. This is like, I'll just show you in their own words.
I had no idea how badly he had been exploited. And that's a message that people need to hear.
I really miss Dan, and just watching it just felt like I really got to know him again. My thing that I hope that, this documentary really does is, shine a light on what was going on truly with Stan Lee.
It is powerful though.
Yeah.
Yes, look at all those. Look at all those
can we
great creators being mean and lying about me. Those insincere testimonials at the end, just so bad.
Can we just give praise to the Phantom Harlock, because he ironically does have a date tonight. He only has a few minutes left, but he does have a date tonight.
I'm sure his mom is wearing a dress and has her lipstick on. It's all getting a big round of applause.
Oh my God.
That's a potential backer.
Come
Come on. He's just testing you.
Look, I'm just saying, we're just getting loose here. We're not allowed to have fun. Come on.
That's good, buddy.
Good
That's
luck
good.
on your date tonight, Phantom
That's
Harlock. Protections for the week.
That's good, Harlock. Well done. That's funny. That's good. Come on, boys.
But that's
funny.
great. So
let's go through the.
It is such a powerful. It is a powerful trailer, and like you kind of see that. I'm not a fan of Mark Waid. He is there. Oh, Ben Bishop?
Yeah, Ben's a homie. He's
Ben's
a
cool dude, man.
Yeah, Nile,
I met him 2 years ago.
Ben's one of Nile's favorite
I've
comic
got
artists.
Bishop art over here in the studio.
Yeah, he called. It's in the tiers. He called me and was like, he was going to let us do a screening, or is going to let us do a screening at his studio up in Maine.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I like Ben. He's cool. So what is this? So in this campaign, let's talk about it though, right? Because what do the backers get? What are the tiers here?
So basically, like, because this is like a comic book sort of world, and I assume that would be the people. So I have all these photos that I took from all my time with Stan. And by the way, again, Billy, thanks for that photo of Stan, the cover photo. I think is probably the best photo I ever took. Probably, I think it really like just encapsulates the whole situation sort of in one photo. But I have a bunch of other photos of just the time that I spent with Stan. It's mostly sort of candid stuff, behind the scenes things. And so basically what I did was I wanted to get my plan was to get the retailers involved who have do their own variants or have their own customer base. And I figured they would be good sort of sounding boards to help get that message out. So I basically pulled a bunch of photos that I really liked and let them decide photos that they liked, and they became their own cover. So basically sort of incentives so that way people in the industry could participate, could help promote the film, and sort of also give them a little skin in the game to sort of, they get very competitive. Maybe they want theirs to be the best one, whatever. So I figured comic book people like comic books, and there's a lot of these photos have never been seen before. Roy Thomas wrote an intro for it. And then it's got some stories about different things like Stan and Chadwick Boseman and sort of different, like I said, candid moments for it. So that's sort of that was the predominant sort of thing we were going for. And then we have Zooms, because sometimes people in Spain can't make it to a screening here or something. So we were doing Zooms because sometimes people just want to ask questions or want personal stories sort of thing. So I tried to make a lot of it sort of interactive to fans of Stan, or comics. And they want maybe they have really specific questions. Did Stan like this, or what happened here? And they want more details about, part of the story. Because there's a lot of stuff in the documentary that no one has even heard of, people think they have this idea of what happened to Stan at the end. And realistically, 10% of it. You wouldn't even believe the stuff that is not mentioned, we had to cut so much stuff out. There was a person who was offering us methamphetamine to stay awake longer to do more signings. And they wanted to give us drugs to keep us going. And we had to cut that because we ran out of time. So it's imagine what's left in if that was cut out. I have a picture. I took the pill and I didn't take it, but I took a picture of it and I have the email. I wrote myself a note, the date and time and the pill. And you could tell that it was a Mexican knockoff because this print wasn't all the way. It was and I kept it and took a picture of it. And then I threw it out before because I wasn't going to go on customs with that thing. But I had to cut that out because there's so much other stuff. So this thing is full of, information.
That's great. So you got these different books and stuff here that you have in here. Are these is it just images, or is there images and dialogue?
Yeah, it's images and dialogue. So it's 20 pages, give or take. I don't remember the exact count. And it's with all sorts of photos. And then interstitially throughout are stories either about those photos or explaining what the photos are. Like I said, Roy Thomas wrote an intro about his time with Stan. And so, yeah, so that's what it is. So it's mostly photos, like, because there's a lot of stuff that I gotta start taking my lesson from Billy.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the thing was, it initially started out as only like 5 books, but a lot of retailers came to me once you offered it to one, and they're like, "Oh, why can't I have one?" sort of deal. Now, unfortunately, because of the backlash, they're almost all scared to like even promote it because they don't want the smoke. Like they don't want what I'm going through to spread to them, you know, and that's just been an unfortunate side effect of that sort of backlash. To sort of like, I think they're sort of waiting for the tide maybe to turn or something, you know. I never thought I would say this, but I really appreciate that, old dirty fatty. I'm gonna have to
again, like I said, man, it's a really touchy subject. Like there are just I mean, fandom, dude. Just fandom is so passionate, and like this is like John said, like this is like mythology and comics. Like you're doing a documentary on Zeus, right?
Yeah, trust me, if I wasn't a regular guy selling comic books for a living, as Billy said, I'm making hundreds of dollars a month or whatever, then I would not be here, you know, to do it. I don't want to wait another 2 years to finish it. You know, like you need money, and like I don't want it to take that long. I want it out. I wanted to move on. You know, I also want it done properly.
But we also
Niall, and forgive me if I don't that. Did you post Intelligent Design Super Chat? Arizona?
I meant to go back to that. Hang on. So we got a super chat here. Sorry, guys. Intelligent Design, Liam here. Are you concerned that the negative PR backlash around the campaign has hurt the awareness regarding Stan's treatment? Any Netflix plans?
So, you know, yes, I will. So, yes, the negative, like that Critical Moist video on day 2, like just sucker punch right in the gut, right? Like definitely had a momentum issue. Now, I think that that's sort of attempting and successfully, hopefully being countered by, you know, McFarlane and those people. So I don't think it will reflect negatively. Could reflect negatively on the Kickstarter itself, but I don't think it will reflect negatively on Stan, because what I've had people remind me is that YouTube comments and Reddit are 0.00001% of the world. Like most people, I don't think Steve's taken deep dives into their subreddits on his favorite topics or whatever. So they won't necessarily know that this is a thing in a very niche part of the market. You know what I mean? Like, and so the general public still sees it for what it is. So I don't think as a whole it will, but yes, within the target audience, I think is actually, you know, having a detrimental effect, and we'll see if we can turn it around. I mean, the real irony and sort of the shame of this is that, who do you think right now is most happy that this is happening? Yeah. Who do you think is getting the most pleasure out of this besides the trolls doing it? It's all the people in the movie who are sweating their balls thinking, am I exposed in this? Am I going to be on this list? Am I going to be exposed? They're happy right now. They're like, this is awesome. Like, I know for a fact I've seen screenshots of people who aren't even in the movie but think they are, and they're bragging to their friends that this is having a negative impact because they think that they're going to live to fight another day. And they're not even
resistance is incredible for a document. It's incredible. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. So, and as you can see,
when you think about it, John, it's amazingly fortunate that we have the evidence, because if we didn't, no one would believe it.
Exactly.
No one would believe it. So we have to, you know, realize that this, you know, idea that dropped in your lap about the reality show, okay, that didn't fall through. But we are going to have access to first-hand accounts of stuff that is undeniable. Whereas if you just published a book and people could always say, oh, well, you know, I never saw anything like that. And someone else could come up and say, oh, yeah, that didn't happen. However, film, first-hand information counts. So after a while, people will all sit back in their chair after watching it and go, wow, this is I know it's a sad thing, but it's also very fortunate that you were in the right place at the right time. So this is your moment to shine in a way. I know you're going through a little bit of a hard task right now, but this is your moment.
And also to be fair, I try not to give spoilers away, but it's not a sad ending. Like we have to remember, like a lot of the bad people were gone. You know, Roy got to come see him. Rob talked about it. Like there is a satisfactory ending. Not everyone gets the justice that they should get, but like you know, there is it is sad 100%, and you can't rosy it up. But you know, people won't leave feeling completely exhausted. They will feel happy about how that, you know, I was just sending the ending to some of the people in the film because they really wanted to see how it turned out today. And so, like, you know, there is a you leave on an upswing, sort of like you'll leave the theater on an upswing.
But it's
so
real.
We got another super
That's
chat
it.
here
Real.
from Unintelligent Design, $10. Thank you, sir. In 2021, my channel was struck by the Stanley estate because one of my guests did a Stanley impersonation as a joke while promoting the Lucent. Do you know who's running his social media as a zombie Stan?
So this is a funny.
Oh my God.
That's horrible.
This is a funny story. Again, I mean, hopefully people believe it, but so first of all, I agree. Stan is kind of, if you really think about it, he's one of the first really famous people to die during social media era where they keep using his account when he's gone, which I think is just awful. Like, it's also in poor taste. Like, I don't want to see dead Stan Lee promoting a book he knew nothing about, like, because the company owns his handle. It's like, that's like already fucking weird. But
so that's not you doing that. You're
no. That's not me. I don't have that much power. But
Liam wants answers. He wants answers.
Did you order the code red? No. So Pow was, so, you know, Stan worked and owned Pow, or co-owned, you know, sort of Pow. But part of Pow's deal was that the rights to his name and likeness, from my understanding from his estate before, that Pow owned the rights to Stan's name and likeness. That's what gave them their juice. That's what got them the loans. That's what got them everything, right? So then, as Pow basically was a company that was just like slap Stan's name on a toaster and call it Excelsior Toaster, and like, and that was their name of their game, was just slapping his name on crap. And so that eventually runs out of steam, and as the company is getting worth less and less, there's an internal power structure that I don't really want to get into, but essentially one guy didn't like the money he was getting. So he was really fucking the deals that wouldn't go through because he wanted to hold out for more money, and the company got worth less and less and less. And he finally nosedived so much they had to take the shit deal because it was going to go into bankruptcy or it was going to get sold. And so this Chinese company named CamSing bought it. Right, they bought it for like $4 million. The rights to Stan's name and likeness for $4 million. Like, we could have got together and bought it tomorrow. And so
a Chinese company bought his name and likeness.
Yeah. So that was really annoying for a while.
I didn't know about that.
So because I mean, how do we not know about half the Stan shit? No one cared. He wasn't signing your books anymore. No one was paying attention. So CamSing buys it. And then Stan went to China. If you guys look into social media, there's like a picture of him by the like Great Wall of China, which I always thought was odd because I was like, Max, why would you take him to the Great Wall of China? This dude can barely walk. Like, why would you make him go through all this shit to like take this one photo, for Christ's sakes? But that's here nor there. But anyway, so he went to China because they wanted him still like in the picture as a mascot. So he went to China, did the big presentation for them, you know, that they bought it. And then I don't know the exact, it's called CamSing is the name of the company, but at some point in time afterwards, they ran afoul of the Chinese government. And wouldn't you know it, all 12 of like the board members got arrested for like doing bad stuff. And then
you never heard of them ever again.
And then, which is weird because I met some of them and it's really weird to think, are they dead now? Like, it's weird to like,
yeah, that's true.
What happened to them? True, and so then a company called Genius Brand, who's a French company, they now own Stan's name and likeness. And they run, to my knowledge, run his social, because they like, I think probably transferred with all the deals. So and again, it's sort of POW 2.0 in a way where they're, you know, there's little licensing deals, and Michael Uslin's on the board, I believe. And some other people from POW are actually on the board too. A funny and like cyclically just end back where they started. So that's who owns it. So that's who struck you, my guy. That's who copyright struck you.
We got another super chat just came in. Thanks, Sharts Law. It says, so if you don't want to piggyback off your friends, we'll offer all those items in 62 tiers of platforms to pay for. Why not ask the fans?
I don't know who you are, but I like you. You're very normal with your questions. You're inquisitive. You're not. So I want you to tell me your real name later, and we could be friends. So I don't want to piggyback off my friends, and I also don't want to just ask I don't want to just ask for money, because I feel like we're lucky enough to do things. Nile, is this what you do full time, or do you have a day job, or what's your? I don't know enough about your background.
Of course, I have a day job.
I don't know. This could be. You could be a million people here. Who will I know?
James Bond. He's a.
I'm just saying.
I have a day job.
I'm not
I
sure.
work at Dairy Queen. I'm the manager.
So I'm not
I do
sure.
cherry dips. Right?
I'm not
Steve,
sure if
cherry
you
dips?
love your day job, but me and Steve and John and Billy are lucky enough to do what we like to do, right? And that's very rewarding. But there are
A day job I don't like, but it pays extremely well.
But there are a lot of people who don't like their day job and get paid very little. And I don't want to go to them and go, "You remember Stan Lee? Give me some money." Like, that doesn't seem like I don't want that. I don't want to just take their hard-earned money for that purpose. So I would rather have the 62 tiers, because what if you're in Orlando and you want to see a screening of the movie? I would like to provide that for you. I don't want you to have to fly to LA to see it. Do you like comic books? Well, cool. Buy this comic book. Like, I'm going to get Rob Liefeld to sign a bunch of them, and Roy Thomas will sign some. Like, I basically want to make it where if there's something there for you, you feel included. If one person buys that Q&A in Tulsa, Oklahoma, then damn it, I'm going to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and we're hanging out together. And I'm going to show you that thing. So I'm trying to give people something for their money. I love GoFundMe's for like Peter David. 100% donate that money to Peter David. That dude needs it. He needs healthcare. Like, give that man your money. But I don't need that like Peter David needs it. I want you to get something back for your troubles. And so that's
you're getting something for you're not like just donating. You're getting something it's not a GoFundMe. It's a crowdfunded campaign.
Yeah.
And I think it's very important, a film that should be seen.
Yeah. And again, like,
people can judge it on their own.
Totally. I think, and the film is obviously important. I mean, it's important to me. It's in my life. It's like, it would have, with all the shit that's happening right now, it obviously is important to me. I'm still here. I'm not running away. I'm doing podcasts. I'm getting the bullshit. Like, it's important. It's a real, it's a passion.
Yes. And you're not the only one that's got, that's got away unscathed. On that Reddit, column, someone called me a dollar store Scott Steiner.
Oh, come on!
I knew you took offense to that, Steve. You love it,
Steve. I want to see those. I want to see those juice guns that has the muscle, that other muscle that I don't know how it exists that sits on top. I want to see one of those babies.
You know what, Steve? When we opened the show and you were talking about, people confronting you, I just imagine them like coming up and be like, "Yeah, fuck it." They get to the store and all of a sudden they're like, "Oh,
yeah,
shit."
they've never seen him in person.
I don't think they realize how big you are. Oh, we just got another chat in from Sharts Law. Thank you, sir. $5. John, if you'd like to talk to me, find me under the page, the Scottish LARPer. We can chat there. I'd like to chat.
Yeah. See, I made a new friend. I made 40 more enemies, but I made one more friend. It was worth it.
Look, everyone's going to have their doubts on what this project is about. Again, it's a sensitive subject. It's Stan Lee. I mean, you're going to have your haters. You're going to have your backers. I mean, I think you're doing the right thing. I think tonight, you could be a little more emotional. You're amongst friends right now, right? You can really just kind of let it out, let the hair down, what you've done, right? Because we can't do that. But, I do want people to, kind of take certain things you read for a grain of salt. We all see the drama online. We all see the misinformation. People don't research. If you want him to prove yourself, then potentially back the campaign, right? See what he's putting together. See what is out there, because he's explained it so many times on other podcasts, on ours. He did the due diligence. He went to the police. He did all the things everyone wanted someone to do. And he's won through the lawsuits. So why has it taken 5 years? Because he can finally bring it to the public. It's not because he couldn't before. He physically couldn't. He was in the middle of a lawsuit. That is why we are here where we are today. Not because he just needs money to, deal with his hookers and whatnot. But he's that's
a separate podcast. That's not for this one, all right?
No,
he's a good boy now. He's a very good boy. Yeah. Married, right?
I actually had a really interesting conversation this morning with someone in the film, and we were talking about it. And there's a part of the film where there's a breaking point where we're at a show and something really bad happens to Stan, and he's forced to continue. And no one knows about it. It's never been shown, but like, he may have actually had some actual head damage, and he's forced to continue for hours. And there's some people in this world who were there, who saw it, and to Steve's point, just they waited their turn to get their book signed, and they watched him suffer, and they got their book signed. And I know who they are, and I know they're out talking shit to this day right now about this film because they are scared that they're going to be in it. But there's a breaking point where that happens, and one of the characters in the film who was in the entourage, he on camera as he's talking about it, he has a full breakdown, and he weeps, he cries, and it's all out there. And when people watch it, they cry because like he really makes you feel like you're there. And it's so powerful. And it's like the most powerful part of the movie when he cries, because you just really see like the breaking point of a human. And he's just, and he didn't even cry when it happened, because when you see it, it's like kind of shell shocks you, and you kind of, your brain tries to protect you from it. And when he thought about it, he just wept. And he cried, and I told him, and he was kind of ashamed. He was kind of like afraid. He was like, people are going to see me cry and they're going to make fun of me. And I was telling him like, no, dude, it's really brave and really honest to be like that. And and he thought it was weird, but I told him, I said, when Stan died and I went to the hospital, I missed his death. I got a phone call. I woke up in the morning. I had a missed phone call. I called back like 10 minutes. I missed it. I called back. They told me he was going to the hospital, and I'm putting my pants on, and they called me and they said he died. And so then I was like, I didn't know what to do. I was like, do I still go to the hospital? Like, he died, you know, like, what do I do? I've never had someone die before. My grandparents were dead before I was born. I never had death. And so they told me, no, come, you know, right? So I drove all the way to the hospital, and then I went to the room, and his just body is there, and he's not covered. Like his head is out. And I wept for like 40 minutes. I just cried, like just everything. And after that, I never cried again about him dying, because I just all came out. Like it's all came out. It was cathartic, and I still feel sad, but it all came out. And I told the guy who cried on camera, I said, when I saw you cry and I saw you just let all that stuff out, and I see it when I watch, you know, later versions of the film, there's actually a part of me that gets really jealous that sees him cry, because I say, man, I wish I still had enough in me to cry more about it, you know, and really show that emotion, because like, it's just been such a long journey. It really hardens you trying to get this thing made, and it blocks up stuff, you know, like, and it was a really powerful thing. So hopefully when people see stuff like that, they like really respect that kind of vulnerability and honesty, because it's really powerful when you see it.
Yeah. And that, you know, I've heard stories too, like when you were there and you were at conventions, and, you know, Stan, you know, say he was done signing with groups of people, and then they'd put him in a back room and say, hey, John, make sure he signs those 500,000 things. And Stan would say to you like, hey man, I just need a break. And you'd be like, you know what, Stan, take a nap. You would take the hit. You would take the hit for it.
He wouldn't even say I need a break, because at some point he was so just acquiesced to his situation that he'd get wheeled into a back room. There'd be some huge stack of comics. He'd know what he was there for. And if it was just me and him, or occasionally there'd be a couple other people that I was with that were not total pieces of shit, we would go back there, and as soon as they would leave and it was just us, I would go, Stan, take a nap. And he'd be like, what about these? And I go, hey, they're fine. They're already signed or something. I would just make an excuse. They're not for you. They're for someone else. And he would then go sleep. And now in that time, like, he'd have an hour, say, to sign all this stuff, right? Because that's money. And then what would happen is they'd come back, the powers that be would come back in the room, they'd see Stan asleep, and they would be so fucking pissed. And if there wasn't any witnesses, they would go, why is these aren't signed? Like, these have to get done. We have to leave in like 2 hours. And I would say, you know what? He came in and he said he wanted to sleep. And I would challenge them with that in a way that I was playing dumb. And I'd be like, well, you wanted to sleep. What did you want me to do? And then I forced them to say, don't let him sleep. And they would never, you know, like, they wouldn't quite have the balls to say that. Like, you could tell they were thinking it, but they didn't want to say it out loud, because they wanted to try to keep that, like, we're not so bad thing. And so then I would and they'd be pissed that I didn't, like, I don't know, shake him or something. And so I would do that a lot. Like, if, like, you know, whenever I had the chance, and that was like at the time the most, and it's so like not even impressive. This is not like a brag. I don't want this to be some sort of thing. Like, when you can barely do anything, anything is better than nothing, but it's still not like, don't throw me a parade. It's like, that's just the best I could do with the situation that I was in. But if I could get him a 2-hour nap when he needs it, then no one else is going to give him that 2-hour nap. You know, like, I got to get him what I can get him when I can get him. So yeah, I used to love doing that. Yeah.
Yeah, we got another super chat here. Leg kick, thank you, sir. I respect Billy as well as Roy, Todd, and Liefeld. All of them back this and vouch for this. I will back this, but not going to lie. It's sad. It is a
Yeah.
sad story. And then
like-
another thing I've seen, I'm sorry, John. Another thing
No.
I've seen that's come up quite a bit in the chat is, you know, people they're open-minded to it. They want to back, but like, what's the business plan? What's the strategy? Like, how is this getting distributed? All that stuff.
Yeah. So, like everything else in my life, I just tend to sometimes get forced doing things ass backwards. So when you go to Netflix and you go have these meetings at first, that's usually the process. You have an idea, and then you pitch the idea, and you don't actually put any of your own money into it, and you try to get Netflix or someone else to pay for it. But what that usually entails is like 6 months of begging a bunch of suits in a fucking boardroom that want to have 10 meetings about it to kill the time of their day. And then what happens is it dies. Like if you don't sell it right away, then it dies. And then you can keep trying. And then, but I was like, no, none of that. So that's why I funded it myself. So the actual business model is now we're walking into rooms with hopefully later a finished product and go buy this, you know, like, and then we try to work out the details of where it goes. Like right now I'm just really focused on making it good and, you know, honoring Stan. And then if it goes on YouTube for $1 or whatever to get my friends their money back who put it in, you know, or it goes on Netflix, that's, you know, I want it to have eyeballs, but right now I just want it to exist. Like it's hard for me, especially now with the kind of bullshit I'm dealing with, to think about the future because I have to keep my eye on the prize right now to get it finished. And then I will worry about distribution afterwards. But the answer is whoever will get the most eyeballs is where it will go. It won't, I mean, everyone loves Tubi, but I don't want it there. I want to like to have it on, you know, a service that people can see it, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, people that are questioning, like, you know, if I back this, look, it's Kickstarter. If it doesn't get funded,
you don't get charged
anything. You don't get charged anything, right? So if you want to see it happen, back it. I think John's going to try to make this. If this falls through, I think he's going to continue on. I think this will happen.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I got a lot of people. I'm going to say I told you so. So out of pure spite, this goddamn thing's happening. But no, it will happen. It's just now a timetable thing, right? Like we'll be talking about it now. If the Kickstarter doesn't work for whatever reason, we'll be talking about this in a year. You know, like, and I'll have no hair, and Steve will have a full hair thing, and we'll switch places.
He'll sell his hair to Steve to fund it.
Yeah,
we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
we got 2 more super chats here, and we'll wrap up soon. This is from Sharts Law again. John, were you part of Stan's entourage when he came to Australia? As I'd like to know if he was mistreated by the conventions down here back then.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like, first of all, I don't need another lawsuit for Christ's sakes. But I'll say to Steve's point, no, I never saw a convention promoter because they were generally pretty isolated. When Stan was there, like the promoters were like peasants. Like even if you were the promoter, you might not get access to Stan. So promoters themselves, I never saw anything like that. But actually, the Australia guy who owns all those shows, like I think there's like 4 of them. Supernova, that guy actually, I feel really bad for him because he was with his wife and they had paid for Stan. We did 2 shows. It was expensive. He had to fly like 10 chuds out. It was a lot of money. And then he just wanted his wife to take a picture with Stan, right? And so the dude brought his wife to the photo op section, right? And Max saw them and he wouldn't let them take the photo. Like they were waiting in a line of their own show. And when it was their turn to take the photo at the end, he wouldn't let them.
I know them. They're not bad people. They're
just to flex. And then the next morning we saw them at breakfast and he was like, "Oh, did you like that with the photos?" Like as a joke. And like, the guy was so humiliated and like so small at his own convention. And I don't know if he ever even got the photo or not, but it was like, oh, I was like, what was it for? Like, it was just not. So that guy, to his question, got the worst. Like he's the one that did not get treated properly.
Yeah. Well, you know, the funny thing is, after Max had his breakup with Stan, I happened to be at a convention, and I was at the desk where you pick up your badges, and in he saunters, and he was like, "Tell the guys behind the counter that Max is here." And I remember thinking to myself, "Oh, you haven't been with Stan for 6 months. How are you coming in here with this huge bravado?" I just remember looking, and I was, you know, of course, working with Torpedo, and I remember telling the people in the line, like, "What the hell? Does he think he's going to get away with this?" And the person came out and he goes, "Yeah, tell them I want to get a booth and organize. Just say Max is here, and we'll get it organized." And I thought to myself, "Whoa, buddy, I don't know whether you realize it, but there's been a tectonic plate shift. You are no longer with Stan.
Yeah.
You know, but that attitude was still there.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine, you know, the power of,
Yeah.
you know, telling, you know, a promoter,
Yeah.
you know, no.
Yeah.
Because remember, if you start off as a nebulous person in 2001, walking around with your hands in your pockets, okay, when no one respects you, no one knows you, and all of a sudden you are given the keys to this amazing castle, okay, that attitude doesn't go. So yeah, I just
Dude,
thought
but imagine what it's like to lose that though. Like think about when you're just like at the peak power and then it's just gone in a day. Like what that's like to have that go. You know?
Yeah.
That's crazy. We got one more super chat here. This is from Unintelligent Design. Stan's last years were rough, but did he have happy times with his family after his wife passed, or was he constantly wheeled about at cons?
So
Good,
the thing with that is, so when his wife died, that was 2017. She died. She was like sick for a while, so it wasn't like a shock, you know, but like she died. And that was 16 days before San Diego Comic-Con, and his wife died. Now, usually my first thought was Stan was going to die in like a week, because like usually when an old person dies, their spouse, like they kind of, there's like some percentage where they die very shortly after. And Stan's heart was essentially tethered to Joan. So like we were all very like, oh my God, like this is over and Stan's going to die. Like that was really scary. And so I remember I got a phone call, as did other people in the entourage. And we were told by someone that we're still going to go to San Diego Comic-Con. And that's 16 days away. His wife's dead, like died that day. And we're like, whoa, like, what do you mean? Like, you mean like the next year, like 2018? Like, you know, what are we talking about? And it was like, no, nothing changes. Like it just, it goes right on. And he went there under the guise of, you know, Stan needs to get out of the house. He needs to think about it. Like he doesn't want to, let's just get out. Don't say anything to him about it. We want to keep him up and happy. And San Diego Comic-Con, he was there signing autographs, doing like appearances 16 days after his wife died. And then like the next weekend we were at a show, the next weekend we were at a show. And we were at I don't remember where we were going, but we were in the airport, just in a terminal, like not in a lounge or anything, just at the terminal by the gate, or everyone knows who Stan is. And him and I are sitting there alone. The other people went off to get food or something. And we're sitting there alone. And he just starts crying, like just crying, weeping. Now, luckily, this is like cell phone cameras exist here, but they're like not as snazzy as the ones we have now. But like, he's just crying. And we're going to wherever the hell we're going, you know, to sign some books or whatever. And I just put my arm around him. And the thing I remember really thinking is, I really hope no one takes a photo of this, because now in hindsight, like maybe it would be good to have it for evidence. But like at the time I was like, I don't want to be photographed. Like, and I don't want Stan to be photographed, like weeping, breaking down. It was so like just crushing. And he cried for 5 minutes.
It is elder abuse because he didn't need the money.
Well, the thing is, he actually did need the money. That's the other thing. He did need the money. I don't know how much Billy makes, but I can almost guarantee you have more money than Stan did when he died. I can almost guarantee you that sight unseen without knowing your financials at all.
Wasn't he making like $100 grand a convention or something like that?
There was $100 grand. No, it was always more than $100 grand. There were hundreds of thousands of dollars moving through the system, but it's another question of where that money ended up. There's hundreds of thousands being spent, but not necessarily hundreds of thousands going.
And are you going to cover that in the good?
Yes. I also got access to Stan's bank records towards the end of his life. His estate they wanted me to audit his deposits. So like I would see the line items. New York Comic-Con, 2017, $128,000 deposited, even though I know that they counted $842,000 in cash and had to walk it like 3 blocks to another room. Like I saw that money being counted. So now there's like $700K is missing, then you go like, C2E2, 86,000. Now that was I know like 2 guys alone spent 80K, like private signings, but like, so like I went through the line items of money. So like Stan, I think if Stan had lived another 5 years, he would be like mortgaging everything he owns to like keep what he had. Like there was not a lot of money left at the end.
Yep.
Well, you know what, John? I think what you're putting together is something that needs to be had. I know there's people that love what you're doing. There's people that hate what you're doing. I know you're going to be dealing with this for a while. But again, everyone, take a look. Take a look. Take a look at that campaign again. See if this is something you want to back. The link is in the description below. It's been posted in the live chat. Check it out. I believe this is something we need to see. I know John is going to make this happen no matter what. But if you can back it, back it. And if you can't, you can't. But this is a story that needs to be told.
Also, follow Steve Says Boom. He's my hero of the week. Is Steve right there? That's the man right there. I want all the props on him. I'll take all the hate. You give Steve all the props. I want him all propped up.
Steve likes that. Keep telling him that. He likes it.
Yes. But John, thanks for joining us. Steve and John, it's great to have you on. We're going to have some new episodes of the Steve and Cimino show coming soon. And of course, me and Tucci got some more streams and stuff going on. Everyone, I want to thank you tonight for joining the chat. I want to thank you for participating. I want to thank you for taking time to see this campaign and listening to John. And remember, do your research out there. Give a wholehearted look into this. This needs to come out. It needs to happen. And we do appreciate all of you guys. And again, Mr. Bolerjack, thanks so much for coming out. And talking about talking and answering the hard questions that need to be had.
Yes.
So on that, you want to hit that bell, Mr. Tucci?
Ho ho.
There we go.
Great luck, John. Great luck, brother.
Great luck,
All right,
brother.
thanks, man.
Awesome, John. Thank you, brother.
Thanks, guys.
Hey everyone. Thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again, everyone, and we'll see you soon.